Till then. Hello and welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. I am your host, Professor Paul Markel. Thank you for joining us today. And you're out there listening for the first time and you're saying, why is this guy calling himself Professor Paul Markel? Well, because I am the lead professor at Student of the Gun University. Student of the Gun University is located in sunny Biloxi, Mississippi. And for all of you listening out in the hinterlands in the Great White North, it was pretty sunny here today. Let me see. We're actually recording this, and you're like, what? They're recording it? It's not live? I know, I hate to break your heart. But yeah, as you listen to it, it's not live. It's less than 24 hours old, but it's not live. It was actually, got up to about 65, almost 70 today. The sky was just a crystal blue. If you know anything about the South or the subtropics where we live, the sky is rarely crystal blue in the summertime because there's so much humidity in the air. But at this time of the year, the sky is just beautiful. So we had a good day today. Are we covered up with things to do here at Student of the Gun University, Jared?
Yeah, we've got tons of stuff to do. And
that voice you're hearing is Jared, the studio engineer, producer, man behind the curtain, although we had to move the curtain so you could change furniture around. But that is Jared.
I am the Jared Markel.
That's the, not the other, the only one.
The one and only. There can only be one. There can be only one.
That's right. There are many imitators, often imitated, never duplicated.
Exactly.
Jared, when I say Student of the Gun University, one thing that Jared's been doing behind the scenes, we told you guys leading up to 2015 that we were going to be offering more training opportunities to you in the coming year, and that is what we're doing. That's what Jared has been working on very diligently. We're going to be offering you training opportunities online, training opportunities via the traditional methods of, if you want to read a paperback book, we've got that. If you want an online digital download book, we've got that. If you want a direct streaming video, we've got that. And we're also going to be doing live events. Now, a lot of you folks out there in the audience sent us messages, emails, and stuff and said, hey, Biloxi's too far for me to travel. I just can't get down there. It's just too far away. Okay, we heard you. So what we're in the process of doing right now is we've actually done some scheduling behind the scenes that we haven't told you about yet, but we've done some scheduling behind the scenes, and we're going to do official Student of the Gun training opportunities, mobile training. We're going to be in Missouri for sure.
Yeah, the March 20th to the 23rd, we're going to be in Missouri, and it's going to be at a place called East Fork Ranch or East Fork Lodge, and they've got a really nice facility. And I believe we're still working out the details of the tuition and everything, but I'm pretty sure that the tuition is going to cover, I know for sure it's going to cover lodging and 3 meals a day. And it's also going to, I'm almost positive that it's going to cover ammunition too. Ammunition will be included in the cost.
What? Really?
Yeah, he didn't know that, but now he does.
Wow. I just kind of fell over and had to come back up.
Yeah.
That would be the fashizzle for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. There aren't too many places, shooting schools that you go to where they cover ammo.
So all you have to bring is your firearm and your body and your gear, and then we will be providing
all the rest,
the instruction and the lodging and the food, and hopefully the ammunition as well.
So you're working the ammo deal behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that, folks. That's crazy. So we've got that, and then we have 2 other dates that haven't been firmed up yet, so I'm not going to give them to you, but make sure you're paying attention to Student of the Gun. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, shame on you. You really should. The basic Student of the Gun e-blast or broadcast, all you got to do is go to studentofthegun.com, put in your first name, your email address, click it, approve it, and you're going to get the weekly broadcast. And when we have events, when we have new products, when we have any kind of special whatever, we let you know via the email. So you want to make sure that you're signed up for that. And, of course, the mobile app is free. It's free to you because of our friends at Century Arms. So if you've got an Android phone, an iPhone, an iPad, you can download the mobile app for free for nothing. So you are welcome. Last night, Jared and Zachary and I, the three amigos of Student of the Gun, we took the time and we caught the evening showing of American Sniper. And I know some of you guys out there are probably wondering why I haven't commented on American Sniper up to this point. And the truth of the matter is I don't think I commented once in public about Chris Kyle's murder and the after effects of that or what have you, because quite frankly, I didn't want to jump on that. And, you know, unfortunately, when things like that happen, when news events happen, people will jump on them just so they can kind of ride the coattails of the notoriety of the event. And I really try not to do that. I try and stay away from that. Now, there are certain events that have to be spoken to, but I really didn't feel like I should speak to that. I did not know Chris Kyle. And you're like, oh, you didn't? Well, no, I didn't. I actually know people that knew him. I have friends and acquaintances in the that are retired SEALs, former SEALs. I guess. Are SEALs like Marines, Jared? I guess SEALs are kind of like Marines. Is you're never not a SEAL, or are there ex-SEALs or are there former SEALs? Or
no idea.
I would, yeah. If any of my frogman friends out there, we need to get Mookie on here and have him tell us, or Larry or any of those guys, whether or not you're a ex-SEAL or a former SEAL, because they have the reunions and stuff, and it's like, you know, brothers for life. So I have a hard time believing that they would embrace the term ex anything. But I've known some guys that have been overseas quite often, back and forth, and I know some of those folks in that circle. And when I talked to my friend Ben Thomas, we were actually at an event, and he said something, and someone asked him in the audience, like, well, what do you think about Chris Kyle, and so forth. And he said, look, he was not perfect. He was a man. He was a man who loved his nation. He loved this country. He loved the U.S. Navy and the teams. And he was like many other men that went to war and then had to come back home and face the brutal, normal reality of day-to-day life after having faced, you know, the ultimate challenge, which is, you know, war, man-to-man combat. He saw his friends die. He lost people, but he saved a lot as well. And he was dealing with all of that. And I don't even know I don't remember who said it, but the movie American Sniper is not a war movie, or it's not a story of war. It's a warrior's story. It's a story about a person and how they dealt with that. And I don't even give credence to any of these. You know, all these, and this is all you have to know about the anti-American Sniper movie people, the people who, all they're doing is they're taking that, the event of the American Sniper movie, and it's super popular, obviously, and they're trying to tie themselves to that in some way. You've got washed up hacks like Michael Moore, who decided they're going to use the advent of this major motion picture and they're going to come out and they're going to say it. It's kind of like what I call it the Rush Limbaugh syndrome. If you guys, whether or not you like Rush Limbaugh, it doesn't matter to me. But the fact of the matter is his popularity, especially in the 1990s, his just rocket ship ascendance into popularity, people tried to grab a hold or use that popularity to get their name known. Like, I'll give you a good for instance. There's a liberal piece of human garbage who wrote a book in the 90s called Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Idiot and Other Undeniable Truths. Well, why write that? And why title your book that? Because you're riding his coattails, because of the notoriety. And these people that are coming out in public and making statements about the American Sniper movie and so forth, they're only doing that so that they can rejuvenate their pathetic careers. I enjoyed the movie very much. I knew it was going to be a hard movie for me to watch because obviously, you know, I mean, if you know anything about the story, you know how it ends. And I knew it was going to be difficult to watch, but I did it, and we enjoyed it. But more than enjoying the movie, more than appreciating what Clint Eastwood did, and Clint Eastwood, man, if I could meet one human being, if I could sit down and spend an hour with one human being, Clint Eastwood would be, top two, top three. That man right there is a true American patriot, and the job that he did, and Bradley Cooper. I think he did a fantastic. Jared, tell me if I'm wrong. Do you think that he did genuinely an Academy Award-winning performance?
Yeah, I think he had a genuine Academy Award-winning performance. I was really impressed by the movie. Obviously, I've never been overseas. I've never had to do the things that they've done. But from watching that movie, I think what I got from it, from a perspective of an outsider, was that the hardest part of a soldier coming home is, well, twofold that I got from the movie. One, you have to fit back into normal life, and two, you don't have the same bond that you had with the people that you were overseas with. And am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right, and that's the hardest thing for soldiers and Marines and so forth and sailors, whatever, people that have been in combat. There's one thing to be in the peacetime military, and that's great, rock on. It's another thing to have gone to the theater where your friends died, and where people were legitimately trying to kill you on a regular basis, and that is not something that most people can fathom. I mean, you can tell them about it, and they can nod their heads, and then they pat you on the back and say, okay, I understand. But they really don't understand because they haven't experienced it. And I think can I say the word virgin on the radio, Zach? Or
yeah.
Okay. Long time ago, people were talking, like, well, I've seen movies and I've read books and, yada, yada, yada. And I said, well, look, it's kind of like this. If you've never been in a position where people were trying to kill you and you were trying to kill them back, and it wasn't just this happened in a parking lot. It was like daily, all the time. You woke up, you went to sleep, and so forth. In an actual combat situation, I can't really explain that to you because it's like trying to explain sex to a virgin. You can talk about it, and I can show you charts and diagrams and on PowerPoint presentations. I can show you all this stuff, and we can talk about it, but you're never really going to get it until you do that. And that is a position that a lot of soldiers and Marines and SEALs and what have you, that they're in when they come back to the United States. They come back to the world. They come back to the world, and especially if they get out, they leave their units behind, and they don't spend time with people who've been there, done that, and know what it was all about. So, what I'm going to say is this: is families. It's hard for guys because they want to tell their families, but their families. It's not that they don't want to understand. It's that they really can't understand. I'll get you, Jared. Did you know that your grandfather never spoke about his Vietnam combat experiences to your mother?
No, I didn't know that.
Jared's grandfather was in the Army, and he saw combat. He did 2 tours in Vietnam as an infantryman, and he never talked to your mom about it. He never talked to the kids and his wife and so forth. And many years ago, when you were little. We were, at an outing or a barbecue, and we were sitting down sharing adult beverages, and he opened up and he said a little bit about this, a little bit about that, and things that happened in Vietnam and so forth. And your mother said to me afterwards, she goes, I don't know why did he tell you that? Why did he open up to you and talk about it? He never did to us. And
because you can understand it.
Yeah. And I was like, well, honey, he said, He opened up to me because I wasn't in Vietnam. I was obviously way too young. I didn't go to Vietnam. But I was a United States Marine. I had been in combat. I had served in infantry. And so I could understand where he was coming from. And if nothing else, that's what the guys need, is they need to be able to talk to those other people, guys that are in that position, who've been there, who've lost friends. And I'll tell you this. I don't know if did I talk about it already on the radio, Jared, about how I got over losing a friend?
I don't think so.
If I did, I mean, I guess it's worth reiterating.
Yeah. We're on the subject. Go ahead.
Well, I lost a friend of mine in the first Gulf War, and his name was Tommy, and he had a wife and a newborn baby, a baby that he'd actually never seen other than in pictures because his wife was pregnant when we deployed. And we talked and about, going home, about he showed me pictures of his baby, told me how proud he was of his wife, how he never worried about her because he knew that she was a strong woman and that she could take care of things while he was gone and so forth. And he ended up getting killed over there. And, at the time, I was a young Marine. I was not married, didn't have any kids. I mean, I had a mom and dad and brothers and sisters and stuff. And it kind of bunged me up because I was thinking, how come I got to live? And I would ask myself, why did I live? How come I got to live and Tommy died? That doesn't, could I trade my life for his? He had a newborn baby and a wife. I didn't have any of that stuff. And it bothered me for a long time, and I had a hard time talking about it. And it was a couple of years after I got out of the active duty that I sat down one day, and I don't even know why I did it. I just felt the need to do it. And I wrote a letter to Tommy's son and told him what I knew about his dad. And I went through and I found a bunch of pictures. We used to actually take physical pictures, and we took them to a store, and they printed them up on paper, and they were shiny, and you put them in little albums. That was before we had little electronic devices that held 10,000 pictures. But
we've still got shiny pictures today.
When's the last time you went to a store and dropped off film and had pictures made?
Never.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But anyway, I sat down, I wrote a letter, and I addressed it to Tommy, to his son, and I took some pictures that I had of him, and I put it in the envelope, and I sent it to his wife, because at the time his son was only 2-3 years old. And I did that. I sent it off to him, and I just wanted her to have those pictures so that when his son grew up, that he would have a story, and not just a story that his mom knew, but stories from people that knew him in the Marines. So, and that helped me. I know it doesn't sound like it right now, but that helped me because every year on Memorial Day, I would think about it. I would spend most of the day thinking about it, and it kind of helped me get by it or get through it. And I think a lot of guys right now are in similar situations where they come back and they have friends that they lost over there, and they have that. It's called survivor's guilt, and they feel like, how come I got to come back and he didn't? And the only way to really, the best way that I'm aware of is not to hold it in, but to actually talk with other people. But you got to talk with other people that shared similar experiences. And what I took from the movie American Sniper is, regardless of all the hoo-ah stuff that soldiers and SEALs and Marines do, that when it's time to just sit down in the quiet and the sound of gunfighter has faded away, that you need to commune with like-minded individuals. And that's what Chris Kyle was doing. He was communing with like-minded individuals, and he served, and then he served again. And I find it to be utterly disgusting and shameful that the person currently occupying the highest office in the land has never once publicly acknowledged Chris Kyle, the sacrifices he made, or the fact that he was murdered, or anything. I find that extremely distasteful.
Yeah. He'll take the time to acknowledge people that don't matter at all.
Well, do we need to mention the fact that he lowered the flags to half-mast for a drug addict that OD'd herself, but not for Chris Kyle? Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe it was done under the radar, and I'm not aware of it. So anyway, that is my. I really felt last night when we finished the movie, and this is what I'm going to say. This is the last thing I'm going to say about the American Sniper experience. And if you've been to the movie theaters, you may have had a very similar experience, and I hope that you did. When the movie ends and the credits roll, the screen goes black and credits begin, and there's no outro music. It's just quiet. It's silence. And that's rare for movies because usually they play like, even sad movies, they play like a somber, soundtrack and so forth at the end. But Eastwood, because he is the genius that he is, when the movie ended, it was just silence, and the credits rolled. Everyone and the movie theater wasn't packed, but it was pretty full for a weekday evening. It was pretty full. Everyone in the theater got up slowly. Most people hesitated to get up from their seats. A lot of people were wiping tears from their eyes. And they filed out of the theater in complete silence. I couldn't hear a word.
You could have literally heard a pin drop as these people exited the theater.
I was so proud of my community at that moment in time. I was so proud of it. I didn't know not one person besides people I came with in that movie theater. But I was so proud of that community that they had the wherewithal to remain silent. I mean, let's face it, folks. When's the last time you went to a movie theater and the movie ended and credits started and a bunch of teenagers or loudmouths or whatever didn't get up and start bah, 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 making noise and backslapping and teenage girls yakking on their phones and stuff as they're walking out of the theater? When's the last time you went to the theater and that didn't happen? It happens all the time. Every time you watch a movie, the credits roll and people jump up and start talking and moving around and so forth. And that was I can't even remember a movie that I watched where that happened, where people just got up and just silently.
I've never been to a movie that happened. Except for American Sniper.
Yeah, that was the first time. And I hope that if you've seen the movie that you had a very similar experience. And I bet you, Jared, now that we've mentioned it, that people will write in and say that they did.
I think American Sniper was it focused more on what a soldier deals with, homecoming, more than any other movie I've ever seen in my life, probably put together.
So,
but if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, even though you think you know the story because you've read the headlines, but you don't know the real story. And I understand that it is a movie, and people will say, "Oh, there's just one scene that really didn't happen," and they all, the scene in the garage or the whatever. Yeah, I get that. It's a movie. I get it. But if you have not seen American Sniper yet, not like I have to tell you to go see it, but I would recommend that you go watch it. All right, well, we're already 23 minutes into the show, and we've talked about that enough. So let's move on. Thank you to all of our sponsors, SWAT Fuel, and you can check those guys out at swatfuel.com. And if you decide to make a purchase, make sure you use the promo code SOTG2014. You're going to save 20% off your total order. And all of you guys that are participating in the SWAT Fuel Challenge, go team. You're doing a great job. Excess Sights, the fastest sights in any light. Velocity Triggers at velocitytriggers.com, Colt at colt.com, and, of course, Brownells at brownells.com. And, Jared brought back with him, he met with our buddy Tom at SHOT Show, and he brought back with him 2 Velocity Triggers, brand new triggers in the packages for AR-15s. Is that correct, Jared?
That is correct. You
have 1 straight trigger and 1 curved trigger. They're match-grade drop-in AR-15 triggers. Guess what? Guess what we want to do for you guys? We want to give them to you. And what we've got to figure out, Jared, is how are we going to give them to them?
I think, let me think.
You want to give 1 to the grad program?
1 to people? The grad program. And then 1 to
everybody who subscribes, or people that post on, we can't.
Why don't we give 1 away to somebody that comes to the Missouri training course? Since they're going
to wait that long?
They're going to have ARs with them.
Okay.
Or maybe not. Maybe they'll have an AK, but
Well, you can bring an AK, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or what I was thinking is maybe, you know, if they go to Velocity Trigger's Facebook page and you can leave a message on there, you can leave a post, and a lot of our fans have already said, hey, I heard about you on Student of the Gun. So what we could do potentially is, because not everybody listening to us right now has an AR-15, so they won't be able to use the trigger, right? I mean, I don't want to send a $150 drop-in match-grade trigger to somebody that doesn't have an AR. Although you could start there and build around it, I guess, if that might be their inspiration. Oh, how about we give them this? It's Thursday. They're listening to this on Thursday. Why don't we give them time to go to Velocity Trigger's Facebook page and say, heard about you, or what do you want to say? Just heard about you guys on Student of the Gun, or I am a student of the gun, or something like that. And then you can randomly pick from those people, and they'll get a trigger. What do you think? It's going to be from us. It's not going to be, well, I mean, it's from them, but it'll come from us. What do you think, Jared? He's thinking over there. I see the steam rising from his ears. We're formulating a way to give away some good stuff here. I hope you guys appreciate that, and don't change the channel while we're talking about how we're going to give this away.
Yeah. Well, we could do that. We could. I just think it would be too much
effort for them?
Too much for them to do, too much for me to do.
All right. So here's what we're going to do.
We'll decide, and then we'll announce it next week on Monday.
Well, definitely we're going to choose a grad program person from the grad program list. We're going to send him an email and say, hey, congratulations, you won. And then we'll also do that for everybody, the general listening audience. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Sounds like a deal. But up until then, if you're curious, you're like, what's this Velocity Triggers thing all about? Well, just go to velocitytriggers.com and check them out. Oh, well, we've got some sandwich maker news. We've got women have been going crazy here in America here lately. And if you are a woman and you are going crazy too, then I'm not really sure what to say to you. But we've got a bunch of stories in the stack of stuff here that have to do with women and guns, and whether some of them like guns and some of them really don't like guns. And Jared, he went ahead and he pulled a special update theme for these ladies that are not down with the guns, that don't be liking guns, and they want to tell you how much they don't like guns and how much you shouldn't have guns. Jared, go ahead and bump them in here.
Lesbo nymphomaniac, she got a girlfriend that's 17. Bye, 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 for Russia. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, 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 for Russia.
We're gonna get letters on that one. I can almost guarantee you we're gonna get letters on that one. But that was Ball Crusher from our friends Wasp. That's right. Digging back to the 80s hair band metal there for you guys. And the story comes to us from thedailycaller.com. And the title of the story is Anti-Gun Leader Upset Police Followed the Law. And you're like, the anti-gun leader is upset that the police followed the law? Well, yeah. Clarence Daniels walked into a Walmart in Florida with a gun under his jacket. Another man, Michael Foster, spotted the holstered weapon, followed Daniels into the store, jumped on him. Foster put Daniels in a chokehold and yelled at patrons that he had a gun. It says, but when the police arrived, Foster was the one that was arrested for battery. Daniels has a concealed carry permit, and Foster is a Looney Tune. So that made the news, and you probably have seen it. You've probably heard about it. It's all over social media and so forth. Well, never being one to not capitalize on a crisis, Shannon, our favorite sandwich maker, Shannon from Moms Who Demand More Bedroom Action, she got on there and she tweeted, man arrested for tackling man with gun in Walmart. Because America. What? I'm sorry. And no, it should have been man arrested for committing assault in Walmart. Because America. What does that mean? And apparently that Shannon was really super bunged up because the police arrested this man who attacked someone who was lawfully carrying a gun. Because in Shannon's world, even if you are within the law, if you have a gun on, you're just wrong. Yeah. So, and why are we... Is anyone really taking the sandwich maker seriously? Or, Jared, are you taking the sandwich maker seriously?
I'm not.
Well, I don't think
When
anybody...
I'm hungry, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. She still owes us. It's still out there. If Shannon from Moms Who Demand More Bedroom Action, if she wants to talk about reasonable gun control measures and she wants to have an open and honest discussion, all she has to do is come to Student of the Gun University and stand in our break room barefoot and make us sandwiches. That's all she has to do. So it's out there. We threw it out there a long time ago. We've been waiting for her to take us up on it, and she hasn't so far, but we'll continue to wait.
I have an idea.
What's that?
Why don't we, in addition to that, why don't we offer to let her attend a class? She can attend a class and then go through some force-on-force training to see what it's like to actually need a gun.
Well, I'm not
to defend your life.
I'm not letting her in for free. She can pay the tuition.
Okay, well, whatever.
No, you know what? If I was out there in the Student of the Gun listening audience, I'd be like, bull crap. You gonna let that hippie sandwich maker come to a class for free because she's anti-gun? No, I'll charge her double. I'll charge her twice the price for being a hippie. But, yeah, wow. So apparently in Shannon's world, if you see someone carrying a gun, regardless, you should attack them because that's just the right thing to do. Now, speaking of women who have lost their marbles, Illinois. You want to travel up to Illinois? Well, we're going to travel up to Illinois, and
I may need to here in a little bit.
You may need to. That's right. Well, we've got a pipe hitter friend in Illinois right now who's laying low. But this one also caught this. We didn't do this deliberately, but this story also comes to us from thedailycaller.com, and the title is "Assault Gun Kelly Strikes Again. U.S. Representative Robin Kelly teams up with Surgeon General for more anti-gun legislation." Excuse me? Baking powder? What was that? The story says, and this is pulled from an NRA ILA contributor, says in a 2013 special election, anti-gun U.S. Representative Robin Kelly, Democrat, Illinois, swept into office after being bankrolled by former mayor of New York, Nanny Bloomberg. Nanny Bloomberg put a whole bunch of money. Now, why would Nanny Bloomberg, being from New York, want to put a bunch of money behind a representative from Illinois? I don't know. Why would that be? I don't know. And you know whose seat she took? Well, you're not supposed to know this because it's really embarrassing. She took the congressional seat that had been previously held by Jesse Jackson Jr., who's currently serving time in federal prison on conspiracy, bribery, and corruption charges. What? Oh, well, you're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to know that the glittering jewel of colossal ignorance, Jesse Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson, and that his son, Jesse Jackson Jr., is as much of a crook as his dad, but apparently he's not as good of a crook. Apparently his dad is a much better crook because he hasn't been jailed yet. He hasn't been caught by the FBI and put in jail yet. But Jr. was apparently a little bit more brazen and not quite as careful as his dad when it came to corruption, bribery, theft, and graft. So anyway, so Kelly gets in there, and she immediately starts with her anti-gun manifesto horse hockey. And so, well, what's going on? It says, And apparently she doesn't like assault guns, and she doesn't think you peasants need to be having assault guns. And she, some of the supporters for Robin Kelly would include Mayor Bloomberg's Mayors Against Illegal Guns, Every Town for Gun Safety, the Brady Campaign, the Educational Fund to End Gun Violence, in case you didn't know that existed, and the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Oh, and also Americans for Responsible Solutions. Those people all back Ms. Kelly. It says, now, Assault Gun Kelly has struck again. With Congress recently back in session, Kelly has introduced anti-gun legislation in the form of H.R. 224, a bill that would require U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. In case you guys didn't know, we have a new Surgeon General, and you're like, I didn't even know that. This is an affirmative action hire by the Comrade Barry administration.
That happens?
Yeah. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy to submit an annual report to Congress on the effects of gun violence on public health and the status of actions taken to address those effects. In other words, the bill essentially it forces an administrative official who is supposedly appointed for his independent scientific judgment and professional credentials to reinforce a predetermined anti-gun conclusion on behalf of an agenda-driven anti-gun U.S. representative. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Oh, wow. You mean a person in the Obama administration is going to drive forward more anti-gun legislation? Well, because they've already made the assumption, they've already decided that guns are bad and that you shouldn't have them and that the existence of guns in America is a public health risk. And folks, I've been telling you this for years. Maybe you haven't been listening for years, but I've been saying it for years. You better be careful how much power you give over to the federal and state governments in the name of public health and safety, or for the good of the children, because that is socialism. Well, no, it's not. It's just for the health and safety. When you let an autonomous government bureaucracy decide what they think is best for your health and safety, it may not be what you think it's going to be. How many of you anti-smoking Nazis out there think that the government needs to step in and they need to stamp down on smoking and they need to make smoking cigarettes illegal? And if they're not going to make cigarettes illegal, they need to make smoking them illegal. They need to make, you can't smoke them in public, you can't smoke them outside, inside, upside down, in the water, on the water, under the water. You can't smoke them anywhere because it's a public health risk. And all you guys out there, all you anti-smoking Nazis, you're perfectly willing to get behind the government or to demand that the government take action. The government needs to take action and save people from themselves. And the government is never going to say, oh no, we shouldn't get involved in people's lives, because that's not the job of the government. They're never going to say, the Constitution doesn't give us the authority to get into day-to-day living habits of the American citizen. No, they'll say, oh, you want us to take control of people's lives? Well, heck yeah, we'll take control of people's lives. But then when they come around and they say, we've decided that guns are a public health crisis, that gun violence is a public health crisis, and something must be done about that. And you go, whoa. Hey, brother, that Second Amendment protects me. And they say, oh, no, the public health supersedes your individual rights. And you say, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You get your hand out of my pocket there, big government. You cannot supersede my rights as an individual. And they say, bro, where have you been? We've been doing that for years, for decades even. And when it came to cigarettes, you thought it was an awesome idea, and you gave us carte blanche, and you said, do it. Them people are too stupid to know that they shouldn't smoke. You need to make them not do it, because I hate cigarettes. You know what? I don't like cigarettes either. But I also think that I live in the United States of America and that it's not the government's responsibility to decide what I do and don't do. Do you want the government deciding what you can and can't feed your children? Because they're going there too, buddy. You better be careful whose bed you lay down in. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But watch it. Keep a sharp eye out. And you're like, oh, that won't ever pass. Folks, what if I told you? Why do idiots and ninnies, why do you think that someone like Robin Kelly, who obviously is her seat has been purchased. Okay, the D seat in that district has been purchased. They own it. So it is what they call a safe district. She doesn't have to worry about the people in her district getting upset with her over this legislation and not putting her back in office. It is a safe district. They purchased it. They bought it. They know it. And that's why they get people like this to come out, and introduce this kind of legislation. And you say, well, it'll never pass. It'll never pass the Republican Congress. No, but what are they doing? They're establishing the narrative. She's going out in public. We're having this conversation. People are writing articles about it. And she's establishing the argument that guns are a public health crisis. And gun violence is a, quote, crisis in America. And something has to be done about it. And if it's done in the interest of health and safety, then we can go ahead and just skip over all that private individual liberty nonsense because it's for the common good. It's for the good of the collective. There was a guy named Karl Marx that was really super down with the collective, and he had a student named Lenin, not John Lennon, totally different Lenin, but he was down with the collective too. It was all about the collective versus the individual. Folks, read your Constitution, read your Bill of Rights, read the Federalist Papers. What they did in there is they said, you know what? The government's job is to protect the rights of the individuals. Yeah, I know you probably didn't learn that in public school during the last 20 years because they were too worried about talking about your gender identity. But the fact of the matter is this nation was founded on individual liberties. But if you don't think people can be trusted with sugar drinks and cigarettes and alcohol and you name it, and that the government needs to step in and tell people what they can and can't have, they're not going to stop there. They're not going to stop at sugar. They're not going to stop at tobacco. They're not going to stop until they've decided what you can and can't do from cradle to grave, from dusk to dawn. And this is the latest thing. This is the latest argument that they're going to establish, that gun violence is a health care crisis. I mean, we've already got family doctors quizzing kids about whether or not their parents keep guns at home. Are you going to stand up and take your nation back? I don't know. Maybe the answer is I'm too comfortable. I don't feel like bothering with it. I'm just one person. I can't do it. Maybe that's your answer. I don't know. But I'm not here to make up your mind for you. I'm just here to inform and educate you. And that's why I, Professor Paul Markel, come to you each and every day, Monday through Thursday now. And we're coming up on the end. I see the clock on the wall tells me that it's time to close my mouth. So I'm going to do that. But before I do it, I'm going to remind you that if you are a grad program member, rock on, you will get the bonus hour tomorrow, mañana, on Friday in your inbox. And, you're welcome. You say, well, why am I welcome? Because remember Jared and I had a discussion earlier this week about the Tactical Tutor newsletter, and usually we put it out at the first show, the first Friday of the new month. Well, it turns out that obviously as we're moving into February, the first Friday, this Friday is what, the 29th?
Yeah, tomorrow's the 29th.
Tomorrow, all right. No, Thursday is the 20th.
Tomorrow's the 30th.
Okay, so Friday's the 30th.
Yeah,
okay.
Friday. Yeah, it's
anyway, long story short, so Jared said to me, he goes, Dad, if you can come up with a Tactical Tutor newsletter, we'll give it out to him this Friday instead of making him wait another week until the 6th of February. So that's what I did. I sat down and I put together a February edition of the Tactical Tutor newsletter. So you guys that are grad program subscribers, you're going to get that with your bonus hour on Friday. So you're welcome. That's a little bit. That's because I like you guys. I know. Now remember, as you move about your day, as you go about your life, as you address this situation and that, you need to remember that you are a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.